The podcast you are about to listen to contains at least one of the following: strong language, disturbing topics, abusive opinions, generally things that aren't appropriate for little kids or overly sensitive people. So, if any of that stuff's going to get your nose out of joint, this is your chance to turn it off.
Feelings don't matter, so brace yourself tight. He'll lay it down heavy, he'll light up the night. No sugar-coated tales, just cold hard facts. In the realm of opinions, there's no turning back. Listen close or just walk away. But Aaron had to say it, come what may. Here comes Aaron with the truth untold. No holding back, watch the truth unfold. On the podcast airways, feel the righteous sting. You either take it in or let the silence ring.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of I Had to Say It. So we're going to start out as we do by saying to Iceman, Jason, Mike, Tabby, Javier, Fitz, McShane, El Jefe, El Devlin, El Morte, to the guys of the Weather Report, to Billy G, to Walt from the E-Raw Podcast, and to the newest member of the Supporters Club, Kate, the Duchess of New Jersey, the co-host of the Boomer Bunker. That's right, Kate signed up. And since I'm doing this late, I actually get a chance to acknowledge her in this week's episode. So thank you for signing up so much. You're fabulous. I love you. I love all you guys, but she gets the most love this week for being new. Anyway, so that's this episode's coming out day late, dollar short. And I apologize to those of you who were expecting your usual Tuesday morning dose of me ranting and raving, but the real world kicked me in the ass this weekend, and Monday night, where I usually do my editing, I did not get home until extremely late from work because work has to take priority over the show, as much as I hate to say that. It's the simple reality of the matter, and work needed my attention, work got my attention, and you guys are getting a little late, and I owe you an apology for that. Now, I did actually, on the drive to work this morning, try to record something to post, but apparently I screwed up the posting of it, and it didn't go through. Just explaining what was going on, that I had to work late last night and had to go in early this morning, so I didn't have time to throw something together, because I needed to actually be on my A game at work and be well-rested and coherent at 6:30 in the morning. So, but yeah, like I said, I screwed that up apparently because I recorded it on the drive-in using the mobile app, and apparently I'm not very good with the mobile app when it comes to Spotify. So, again, my apologies. I hope this will make up to you guys. And as a matter of housekeeping, just to give you guys something to look forward to, Kate's co-host, John Jamingo, and I are going to be scheduling something where he's going to be come on doing another guest episode. I'm trying to do a lot more of those. I've actually had a couple of weird-ass random outreaches this week in my email from people pitching themselves to try and get on the show. Usually, honestly, I don't. For you guys, you listen to the show, you know how I am. I generally don't react real well to unsolicited, like, hey, I want to come on your podcast and promote my program. I want to come on your podcast and promote my new method for increasing wealth. I think your audience would really appreciate this, that, and the other. Generally, when I get those kind of unsolicited emails, whether it's from an organization that is trying to book people as guests on random-ass podcasts, I generally don't react real well to them. I mean, I'll give them a chance. I'll be like, so how exactly did you come across my podcast? Or did you just Google podcasts under a certain, subset of categories? Or did you see some interactions on Twitter? Or how exactly did you find this show if you think I'm going to be a great fit or my audience really needs to hear from X, Y, and Z? And literally every single time I've been approached by one of these people, they have not had a satisfactory answer to my way of thinking. A couple of them have even referenced guest spots with other people that approached me through that same approach that I shot down. Like, I heard so-and-so's guest spot on your show, and I thought it was fantastic, and I think this person would be a great fit because of the way you guys interacted. And it's like, you dumb motherfucker, that person, I shot them down. They were never on my show. You motherfuckers should at least communicate your bullshit better. Like, not just go off of a list of, oh, hey, we reached out to this guy, and so now you should reach out to this guy and talk about the show. Because, I mean, realistically, to me, if you're going to approach me, you should at least do the legwork to find out what you're getting yourself into. And most of these, like, podcast guest booking services, I tell them as much. Look, if you can't tell me something about my show that makes me think your guest would actually be relevant other than just, hey, I think it would be a great fit because they want to come on and talk about blah, 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 and your audience would benefit from it. The cold call pitch emails don't work with me. They piss me off. And depending on how my day's going and what else I have on my plate, I may rise to the bait and just send back very unpleasant emails to them. And so but I have got a couple of them, and a couple of people I was like, okay, this may actually be somebody kind of interesting that kind of feeds into stuff I do agree with. So I kind of emailed them back like, all right, let me look at some of your guest spots you want me to look at, and I'll decide whether or not we should set something up. And I do still want to start doing more guest episodes, so again, you guys all have an open invitation. Anytime you want to come on, just let me know. I love to sit down and talk to people, as you can tell from the 2-hour episode that just came out with George Fontes last week. It's pretty solid. It's doing good numbers. I think you guys like George, so go check out his podcast too. But that being said, if you are somebody that's out there and you're listening and you want to come on the show, make sure when you reach out to me, you actually express something to tell me you are a person who is familiar with what they're getting themselves into, so I don't be rude and ignorant and mean to you in my response. But anyway, with that out of the way, let's go on to talk about what's been going on in the last week or so. And it's been the usual shit show. We've got the libs are out here being absolute fucking retards. The media's out here being absolute horseshit. People are being stupid. People are being divisive. People are fucking picking sides in fights that shouldn't fucking exist. And we all, those of us that have any sort of rational sense, are stuck dealing with the consequences of other people's stupidity and fuckwittery. The thing that really gets me is that the narratives are becoming more and more just blatant and ridiculous and thoroughly fucking unhinged, regardless of what aspect you're talking about. Like, so Trump puts out all these tariffs, market tanks, blah, blah, blah. Anybody with a modicum of common sense or any sort of, resources probably went, you know what, speculatively, this is probably a decent time to buy. And then subsequently did buy, because figuring Trump's going to do what he's been doing all along and use the tariffs as, a threat in a club. And apparently it worked, because according to the White House, there's like 50 plus countries that are coming to the table to negotiate, trying to open a lot more free trade and open trade and equivalency trades, which I suppose was the initial point anyway. Plus, it was to kind of put China into a bad spot, and he sure did, because they were the only country to decide they were going to increase the tariffs on U.S. products as a result of him installing, reciprocal tariffs. So he said, you know what, fuck it, bang, tariffs went up more. They're up to like 147% or something like that now, because China is doubling down, so he's doubling down, and all of a sudden now they're both talking about coming to the negotiating table. Trump's backed off on things like electronics and, phones and iPads and microchips and shit like that. It's stuff we really can't function without in our society that apparently are only available from China or Taiwan or whatever. And like Marjorie Taylor Greene bought stocks on the dip, and a bunch of people bought stocks on the dip. If I had money, I would have bought stocks on the dip. And then Trump announces he's going to pause all these tariffs because all these people want to come to the table and negotiate. So he's going to put a 90-day pause in place to give these people time to negotiate in good faith. And boom, the market takes off, and a whole bunch of people made a whole bunch of fucking money, or at least theoretical money. And most of them are probably unrealized gains at this point, because I doubt they sold right away again. The only people who really got fucked were the people that were short selling, and serves them right. That's what you get. But so immediately all the leftists start screaming. Now all of a sudden, insider trading is a concern. Now all of a sudden, people making money in Congress is an issue. Now the thing is, they're trying to accuse Trump of insider trading. He made a public statement saying today is a good time to buy, like a few hours before he announced the pause in the tariffs. So they're trying to say, oh, well, he was giving insider information to his people on Truth Social. He made a public statement saying something that anybody with a modicum of common sense in trading would know. You buy the dip. So it's utterly ridiculous. And these are the same media talking heads and yammering political parasites from the left that are out here trying to say things like, there's a Tren de Agua member, an MS-13 member who got deported from Maryland. Maryland? Maine? Maryland. Yeah, Maryland. the news is reporting him as being wrongfully deported and illegally deported, and he's a father and he's a family man and he's got a special needs child. Now, the thing is, with the slightest effort to do a little research and homework, you can find out this guy that was deported, they're saying, oh, well, he was denied his due process. No, he wasn't. He was under a standing existing deportation order. His excuse to not be deported was that if he went back to El Salvador, where he's originally from, a rival gang would kill him and his family. Now, the El Salvadorian government has completely demolished that rival gang. That rival gang no longer exists. They're no longer performing or functioning in that society. So his excuse for why he can't be deported is subsequently moot. Furthermore, his initial deportation order was upheld in 2019. He appealed it. He lost the appeal. His secondary deportation order was upheld. So the fact that now in 2025 he finally got deported, he was not illegally deported. He was not wrongfully deported. He's not a Maryland father of a disabled 5-year-old. He is an illegal alien with gang ties to a listed terrorist organization because MS-13 is now considered a terrorist organization by the U.S. government and has subsequently legally been deported. And meanwhile, we have all these leftist politicians out here. Oh, well, I demand that President El Buque speaks to me about getting this man back. Well, he doesn't have any obligation to accommodate any of these fuckwaffles. And now we've got like Booker and fucking a bunch of other leftist assholes talking about, oh, well, we're going to fly down to El Salvador and get him released. You know what? Good. Take your retarded asses out of the fucking country. That's exactly what you're going to do. That's really representing your constituents very well, you fucking grandstanding political hacks. Ultimately, they're just showing that they literally could not give a fuck less about actual citizens of this country. They're all screaming that he had his due process violated. He had his rights, his basic civil rights violated. Well, no, he didn't. He had his due process. It was his initial deportation hearing and his follow-up appeal deportation hearing, both of which he fucking lost and was told he was needed to get ready to get deported. And then all of a sudden, the Biden administration comes in and, oh, we're just letting everybody in, so why the fuck would we deport anybody? And sure as shit, he stayed here in violation of a deportation order for another 6 fucking years. Managed to knock somebody up and have a fucking disabled kid. And now they want to make a martyr out of him, despite the fact that he still has the gang ties, despite the fact that he's still in the country illegally. The leftists want to defend him. And, you know, including my fuck muppet governor, he's out here making statements. He is trying so hard to act like he's the president. He's trying to pretend so hard to think. He thinks he's going to put that idea into somebody's head. Nobody's going to vote that fat fuck into the White House. I promise you that. He's worthless as a governor. He would be equally as worthless as a fucking president. And nobody wants to hear it. He has no public support, despite what his fat ass thinks. But he's out here making those same statements too. And honestly, like I said, I really do. I hope all these worthless leftist sacks of shit get on a plane. And just so they can, you know, stay true to their values and their beliefs, that's accrued entirely by women. And all of them were, you know, women of color and bisexual, gender confused, transitioned, identifying as men, whatever other DEI nonsense got him in there with like absolutely no ability to actually operate the plane. And I hope the plane winds up going down in the Gulf of America. Fuck them. It would do the country a great service if that were to happen. Not that, you know, I wouldn't actively hope for someone to actively try and take them out. I would love to see them die of fucking irony. That's what it would be. It would be death by fucking irony, because all the bullshit you were fucking getting on, virtue signaling to go down and bring an illegal fucking criminal terrorist back to this country on a flight full of fucking unqualified fucking flight crew, winds up in the Gulf. That would just, like I said, death by irony. It would be a sign that there's actually a higher power out there that's sick of this shit too. And maybe that's asking for too much. Because as much as they like to pay lip service to, you know, the DEI and all that other horse shit, never when it impacts them, you know? I don't see Biden walking around with the security team that was guarding Trump when he got shot in the head. So, although, again, if the Secret Service were to assign all those agents to hit Biden now, that would be fucking hilarious. But, you know, it is what it is. So, and then we have like I said, we have the media trying to make a martyr out of this criminal fuckbag who is in the country illegally, and said he couldn't go back because he's a gang member, and if he goes back, he'll be murdered by a rival gang. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's really somebody you want to fucking keep around. But on the other hand, you got to figure this is also the same establishment that's pushing the narrative that the 17-year-old black kid who stabbed the white kid in the heart for touching him is somehow the victim in this situation because, I don't know, racism or whatever. But the kid, dumb shit, pulled this shit in Texas and definitely was not operating within the confines of self-defense, because when you go into an area where you're not supposed to be, when you aggressively tell somebody, touch me and see what happens, and then you stab them, you have forfeited the right to self-defense because you have provoked the confrontation. And so, yeah, I mean, that's, of course, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an expert, but, you know, the thing about this, the kid's name is Carmelo Anthony, which is a whole nother thing. When you get, I wasn't going to say it because it's like, but on the other hand, it's got enough coverage. The kid's 17 years old. He's fucked up his entire life. He killed another kid who's 17 and, you know, ended his life. 2 lives ruined because this fucking idiot kid somehow thought that it was a good idea to go to a school he didn't go to's seating area while they were on the away team side of a track and field event and start some shit. And he went with a knife in his bag. He went with the intention of starting some shit and stabbed the kid because basically he thought he was going to get away with screaming self-defense, and who knows, he might, because he's in a part of Texas that's kind of, you know, full of Californians at this point. But the massive outpouring of support, they set up a Give, Send, Go to raise legal defense funds for this person. It started out with $100,000 they were trying to raise. They blew it out. He wound up getting like $400,000 crowdsourced. The commentary on the fucking crowdfunding page is some of the most disgusting racist horse shit. Basically, a bunch of people saying, yeah, that cracker had it coming, blah, blah, blah. You're getting treated like shit because you're black. And all this just horse shit, stereotype, negative bullshit that doesn't need to exist because it doesn't do anybody any good. It doesn't benefit anybody. It's fucking pathetic, but it's the narrative that's being pushed by the fucking media that has these people thinking that, well, you know, because of what I look like or because of, you know, reasons that don't make any fucking sense to anybody with a modicum of common sense, I don't need to be accountable for my actions. I don't need to, you know, be subject to the same laws, regulations, and standards as everybody else because I'm special, I'm privileged, and it's utterly ridiculous. I mean, this kid's fucking parents failed him, society failed him. It's really pathetic. The whole thing pisses me off. And honestly, there are better people out there to do breakdowns about this case. I sat down, I read the police reports because they're publicly available. I read all of them. I read the first responder on the scene. I read the SRO report. I read all the backup officers' reports. This dumb fucking kid, when the SRO is saying, I have the alleged suspect, literally says on body camera, no, it's not alleged, I did it. Then as he's getting put in the back of the car, one of the cops who's driving the car says, he asked, is he all right, or is he alive? And he says, can I claim self-defense? Like, literally, this dumb fucking kid ruined his fucking life, jeopardized his future. Now, the fact that the media and the fucking liberals may try and get him off on this case for whatever fucking reason, the simple fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, the kid's a fucking murderer. He belongs in prison. He made stupid choices. He played fucking dumb games, and he's won stupid fucking prizes. Society failed him. His parents failed him. It's pathetic. However it pans out is going to be the wrong way. And this is, our society is so fucked up that even the victim's father is like, oh, you know, you can't come out and say this kid murdered my boy. He's not even a fucking man enough to do that. We are in such a sad fucking state. I don't want to dwell on the matter too much because it's just going to get my blood pressure up. And there's a bunch of other shit going on that we could touch on. I mean, AOC and Bernie are still out there doing their fucking fight oligarchy tour, which is, it's a fucking joke. At literally every venue they've gone to, they over-report the attendance. As often as not, over-reporting the actual capacity of the venues that they are supposedly filling into overflow. But, you know, then pictures come out, and the pictures always show open seating for some fucking reason. And the geo-trackers are still saying that it's basically the same crowd following them around, going from state to state and venue to venue to these, you know, same people that were at a whole bunch of camel toe rallies. You know, and I stand by what I said. Bernie and AOC are not out there changing minds. They're not winning hearts. They're not, it's not a bunch of disaffected MAGA voters that are fucking turning up to support these two fucking frauds. And it's the thing is, it's also symptomatic. They're not the only ones doing it. There are liberals out there literally going to every state except for the ones they're supposed to actually be representing. If I were represented by any of these assholes, other than the fact that I'm completely, disaffected and just disenchanted with my actual representatives, I don't feel they represent me in any way, shape, or fucking form. But as long as I'm stuck in fucking Illinois, this is what I'm stuck with, is a bunch of worthless sacks of shit and fucking carbuncles on the ass of society that are supposed to be my representation, even though they don't represent anything except for their own fucking self-serving horse shit. But that's what I get for living in a corrupt state with a corrupt system, and I pay some of the highest taxes in the fucking country, and I hate it here, and I want everybody that's involved in politics coming out of Chicago or any of the districts centered around those counties to fucking die in a fire. I shouldn't say that. That's not nice. That's being hyperbolic because it's late. I'm cranky. I'm tired. It's been a really long couple of fucking days before I sat down to do this, which was probably poorly thought out because I really did sit down pretty much as soon as I got home from work and then proceeded to stare at my fucking monitor for 2.5 fucking hours. So now it's late at night and I'm still sitting here trying to organize my thoughts in a way that'll, in some way, shape, or form, at least provide a modicum of entertainment to you guys. And I really feel kind of shitty that this will be Kate's first episode as a supporter of the show. I mean, she's been a supporter of the show since we kind of met, but as a subscriber to the show, and I feel like she's getting a really lackluster first episode with her name in it, and now I feel like kind of a douche. But we champion bravely onward, and there's all like I said, the big thing I'm coming back to over and over and over again is the leftist dummies. They don't learn, they don't change, they don't grow. They're just doubling down on all the same shit that basically lost them the election. The really only hope they have, other than all the fucking backdoor bullshit going on, the fucking activist judges trying to constantly fight the Trump administration at every fucking turn. But, on the other hand, the Trump administration is turning out to be a bit of a disappointment in a lot of ways. We have all this information coming out of Elon Musk and his crew of fucking autists, all the fraud and corruption, and all this shit's being exposed, but nothing's changing. There hasn't been any prosecutions. I mean, like, they found 2 of the leakers in the Secretary of Defense's chain of command, to people close to Pete Hegseth, who've been leaking information, and one of them who was... They think he leaked the Signalgate bullshit. And, oh, by the way, all the, policy experts on the left are coming out talking, well, have all those Signalgate chats been saved? Oh, no, they're being deleted. I'm pretty sure that's a violation of, National Archive laws. These are the same people who just blithely ignore the January 6th committee actively destroying evidence. And probably people who are kind of ignorant on the way fucking Signal works. Signal is designed to delete chats after a certain amount of time. It's the way the software works. It's the entire fucking point of it, is it's not supposed to leave a fucking trail. The fact that the government is endorsed and has been using it for years now is, it's a whole nother matter. But at the end of the day, these chuckle-coated fucks are just out here just spouting, and you get to see on social media, you see so many fucking yammering heads. I can't even say talking heads because they're not really talking. They're not saying anything of worth or value or any sort of import. They're just parroting the same horse shit back and forth. Whatever the mainstream narrative is, you all of a sudden see it coming out of 97 different fucking sources. And when the yammering's not seem to be working enough, they've got all these other fucking distractions going on. Like they announced that they've brought back the dire wolf, which is not in any way, shape, or form actually accurate. What they did is they modified the DNA structures of some gray wolves, which are genetically similar, but not actually directly related. They're not even the same genus, it turns out, as the historical dire wolves. That they tried to resurrect traits from these dire wolves using fragments of DNA because they've, CRISPR'd up an entire genome sequence of gray wolves and found, if we tweak this, we can make them bigger. If we tweak this, we can make them stronger. Now, disregarding for a few minutes the idea that is just a horrible fucking idea because... evolution's kind of supposed to be a one-way street. Things die off for a reason. Things have been out of, the natural order for 10,000 years for a fucking reason. Bringing back those recessive failed traits is probably not a real good idea, and that's completely disregarding the fact that there's an entire series of movies out there about why bringing things back from the extinction is a bad fucking idea. Things like, no natural predators, things like not adapted to the current modern society. Things like, is this how you want plagues? Because this is how you resurrect zombie viruses and get plagues and death and destruction. But realistically, when you have a mind that works the way mine does or fails to do, you start thinking, this is just another fucking distraction, because what else is going on? You got to look around. You got to see. They want you to look over there, look at everything else that's going on. And another thing that's another one of those distractions that is a case of like, look over here, look what's going on. Blue Origins, the Bezos version of, like dollar store SpaceX, I guess you could call it. Their spaceships look like a giant white pulsing cock, and they've done really nothing of any significance other than sending a few people up to like low orbit altitudes. Launched a space rocket today with like a bunch of fucking plastic broads. Their whole thing, the first female crewed rocket to go to space. And it's like, yeah, that's very loosely true, because the people they're talking about being on this ship were like, they weren't crew, they were fucking passengers. They rode up into, low orbit and then came back down to Earth. And it was like Gayle King and Katy Perry were like the big names out of the fucking thing. First off, like neither of them have been really very relevant for a couple of years minimum. And just worthless fucking sacks of tits that got launched. I mean, they sent so much plastic up into space on this fucking flight. Unless they're trying to study the effects of zero gravity on fucking silicone, I don't really see what the point was, because there was so much face filler and fucking fake tits in this flight. It was pathetic. And it's just a publicity stunt, because realistically, what's Blue Origin doing? Nothing. Dollar store SpaceX is not launching rockets and catching them. They're not putting up 80% of the fucking tonnage that gets shot into space annually. They're not, plotting that they're going to be landing a fucking crew of AI robots on Mars in a year. So realistically, what did they accomplish besides sending a bunch of, and already the conspiracy theorists are saying it possibly didn't happen. The landing was fake. Here's evidence. There's videos that's been leaked of the, before the landing of the official released video, kind of showing that it looked like horse shit. Oh. Sorry. And it's entirely possible that it is bullshit. It's a publicity stunt. Who fucking knows? Because when's the last time you heard anybody talking about Blue Origin other than making fun of their cock-shaped rockets? I can't think of a single fucking time. And that's just, that's me being me. But that's also me looking at things going, again, what's the fucking point? Yes, Bezos needs to drum up some fucking attention. The tariffs are fucking definitely going to slap him in the pee-pee a little harder, because, let's face it, 95% of the shit that gets sold on Amazon is not made in the U.S. And I'm saying that as somebody who buys a ton of shit off of Amazon themselves. Not necessarily by choice, but as a matter of convenience and, better prices than having to drive my ass to the store. Like the fact that I can get a bag of dog food for $15 cheaper buying it from Amazon than going to the pet store myself and picking the shit up for the exact same fucking bag should tell you something about priorities and all this other stuff. Yes, everybody wants to make a priority. Everybody wants to say they're going to support local businesses and blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, if you're a poor, it comes down to what can I afford and what can I not afford. So, yeah, maybe Bezos is trying to drum up some attention for his other ventures to offset the fact that his fucking, flagship property that made him rich is, probably taking a little smack on the pee-pee right now. Not a massive one, not enough where he's going to shut it down. People aren't going to stop shopping Amazon. People aren't going to stop buying products online. Because really, at the end of the day, convenience trumps principles for 99% of us. There's always exceptions to every rule out there, and I'll be the first to admit it. But in this particular case, I don't think I'm fucking wrong. Yeah, it is what it is. It's at the end of the day, there's a lot of nonsense going on, a lot of stupidity coming out of our supposed leaders, which I would like to, I don't even know why I say supposed leaders anymore, because they're not that. It's a bunch of fucking career parasites in DC that are doing this performative nonsense rather than doing their fucking jobs. The Democrats are literally doing anything and everything they can to try and take attention off of how fucking corrupt they actually are. Because even though there's no prosecution coming out of it, even though there's no results from it, Trump and Elon are still at least exposing this horse shit. And yeah, they shut down USAID and a whole bunch of the NGOs that were obviously actually government organizations, because we received all their fucking funding from USAID. So our tax dollars funding shit that goes against our interests and things we don't believe in and things we don't support that are actually unaccountable to anybody because they're NGOs. getting money and grants and all this other shit. And meanwhile, you see all these activist horse shit drying up. The only thing I've actually seen out of any kind of a consequence of the coming out of the Trump administration so far is the only thing Pam Bondi has managed to do besides go on Fox News every fucking night and try and, oh, look at me, I'm on the news, I'm talking big, I'm not accomplishing shit. Yeah, they threw a couple Tesla vandals in fucking prison. Like, oh, well, look, the feds are arresting these domestic terrorists. Well, realistically, the locals should probably be dealing with fucking vandalism and destruction charges. You want to treat it as a federal crime, that's great. You still haven't perp-walked a single fucking corrupt senator. You still haven't perp-walked a single corrupt bureaucrat. You still haven't perp-walked a single fucking Epstein client. So you really haven't done much. You're shuffling the mud around, but you ain't draining the fucking swamp as far as I'm concerned. You got these worthless sacks of tits that are up here saying that, oh, well, the Trump and Elon are trying to take away our rights, and they're doing this. I mean, the people who are screaming the loudest are the ones we should be looking at the closest. And Elon said he's going to turn Doge loose on the fucking Congress and find out how all these cunt stains made their fucking fortunes. Most of the American people don't need to be told. They made their fucking fortunes from us. They fucked us. They enriched themselves. We all know it. Nobody knows what to fucking do about it. I mean, now, I shouldn't say nobody knows what to do about it. Some of us know what to do about it. Unfortunately, society hasn't collapsed to the point I think it would take to actually push people in the direction to do anything about it. The vast majority of our civilization at this point is still so fucking complacent where it's like, well, they're the ones in power. What are we going to do? We need to remind them who they fucking are supposed to be working for. We need to remind them that there's more of us than there are of them. We need to put them back in their fucking place. Don't let them write laws that impact how much money they make. Don't let them write laws that impact how long they can be parasites. Don't let them write policy that says they can get out of their fucking cushy government job that comes with a lifetime fucking benefits and then go be a consultant and make a fortune as a fucking political consultant for some other fucking industry that very recently they were fucking regulating. We need to remind them they aren't the one. They're not masters. They're not gods. They're not our bosses. They're not our overlords. They're supposed to be public servants. It's in the fucking job description. However, they don't serve the public. They serve themselves. They serve their own interests. And somehow we've gotten complicit to the point where we let them do it. It's not a good look. It's fucking pathetic. We should be better. And, anybody who says these things gets labeled as an extremist or talking, I thought there was a modicum of hope. I thought that, there was an actual movement of people saying we're fed up, we're done with this shit. But as soon as the presidential election's over, hey, our guy's in there now, let's all get back to sitting on our fucking thumbs and not actually demanding accountability. The amount of people that are sitting there, they're willing to sit back and say, oh, well, they're doing this because that's how they have to. No. I mean, I was all for Trump coming in there and just fucking causing a shakeup from day one because that's exactly what it's going to take. You got to, this complicit going along to get along horse shit that got us in the situation in the first place that allowed the moralist, corrupt motherfuckers to just enrich themselves and, people saying, oh, well, this is kind of how we got to get something done or else we're not going to get anything. No, you worthless motherfuckers. It's like every time they threaten a government shutdown, you know why they never shut the government down for any extended period of time? Because it would show how useless and how irrelevant and unnecessary they actually fucking are. And, realistically, I don't know what it's going to take to wake this fucking country up. And I really just hope it's not something that we can't recover from. But I'm not holding my breath anymore either. So I'm going to put a pin in it now. It's late. I'm tired. And I got myself all worked up. And I'm grumpy. And I'm not going to sleep well. So good night, everybody. That's what I had to say. Thanks for listening to another episode, guys. If you liked what you heard, leave a comment, leave a review, leave a rating. Go to ihadtosayitpodcast.com, sign up for the mailing list, interact with the show. Click the links, sign up for the Patreon, join the Discord, come and interact, be a part of the show. Buy the merch, support your favorite creator, or support me. Anyway, thanks for listening, guys. Till next time.